The smarter they are, the harder they fall. Not because they're wrong, but because they can't be wrong. That's the delusion. It's not ignorance that blinds people. It's confidence. And confidence wears a cap and gown. It holds diplomas, uses big words, and makes you feel small until you look closer and realize it's just ego wearing glasses. But let's be clear, this isn't a blanket statement about all smart people. This is about the minds where brilliance grows unchecked, without humility, without self-awareness. And that's where the cracks begin. People love the idea of the rational thinker, disciplined, logical, and unbiased. A noble image, a safe illusion. But drop them in real life, in politics, relationships, or social media, and watch that myth burn like a philosophy book at a political rally. Smart people don't avoid bias. They dress it up in better arguments. They don't eliminate emotion. They camouflage it behind graphs, theories, and clever rhetoric. They'll call it logic, but it's still just defense. Defense of status, defense of pride, defense of a very fragile sense of superiority. The higher the IQ, the prettier the excuse, and the more dangerous the illusion becomes. Because when you believe you're immune to illusion, you've already fallen for the worst one. Of course, not every intelligent person falls into this, but the ones who do, they rarely see it coming. There's a name for it: blind spot bias. It's not just any bias, it's the one that exempts itself. It's the belief that everyone else is biased, emotional, or irrational, but not them. They see manipulation everywhere: clickbait, politicians, religion, or advertising, but never in their own carefully curated worldview. They believe in evidence as long as it agrees with them. They praise objectivity as long as it doesn't threaten their identity. They'll scoff at superstition while fiercely defending their own sacred assumptions. Because in the end, it's not about facts. It's about comfort disguised as clarity. The human mind protects its pride more than its truth, and intelligence gives it a sharper sword to do it with. This doesn't describe every mind, only the ones who've made intellect their armor, not their mirror. With knowledge comes ego. With ego comes blindness. The problem isn't what they know. It's what they think they don't need to learn anymore. Smart people overestimate their understanding. They confuse being informed with being complete. They assume because they were right once, they must be right always. That one good idea makes them a prophet. That being articulate means being wise. They enter conversations to correct, not to listen. They enter debates not to explore, but to dominate. They win arguments, but lose reality. Because sometimes certainty is just ignorance in a tuxedo. And the tragedy? They often don't even notice what they've lost. Not all intellect turns toxic, but the moment someone stops questioning themselves, intelligence turns into arrogance with a diploma. People say failure is the best teacher. That mistakes humble you. That falling teaches growth. But not when someone believes they're too smart to fail. Not when every loss feels like an insult to their identity. Instead of reflection, they choose redirection. They blame others, or the system, or the world. Every mistake becomes a conspiracy. Every setback becomes sabotage, because their ego is not built to absorb impact. It's built to deflect. They rewrite the story, always with themselves as the misunderstood genius, the visionary no one listened to. And so, they learn nothing, over and over again, until failure stops being a lesson and becomes just another thing they refuse to understand. This isn't all smart people, but it's a trap many never see until they're buried in their own brilliance. They don't say, "I don't know." They say, "Let me explain it to you." Even when it's not their field, even when no one asked, even when their explanation adds confusion, not clarity. This isn't curiosity, it's dominance. It's an intellectual alpha play disguised as discussion. An urge to be the smartest in the room, even if the room burns down in the process. They'll quote books they barely read, use words no one needs, and condescend with a smile. Not to connect, not to help, but to win. They don't seek truth. They seek superiority, and they mistake that for wisdom. But wisdom, real wisdom, begins with knowing you might be wrong. Talesverser. Intelligence is not immunity, it's just a sharper blade. And many use it to stab their own reality. They think they're climbing the ladder of reason, but often they're just decorating their echo chamber with fancy words. Maybe the tragedy isn't that smart people believe dumb things. It's that they believe only dumb people do. And in that blindness, they become exactly what they claim to rise above. But this isn't a warning to all who are smart. This is a call to those who are smart enough to stay humble, stay curious, and most importantly, stay human. And that's a wrap, my dear friends. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time, stay awesome.